what happened.
Okay, wasn't you just talking to her? Can she provide all them information to you?
Well, let me ask you this. I was just talking to her. What if she told me that you beat the out of her and you jumped on top of her and started punching her in the face? Should I just go ahead and take that?
Okay, but don't you know?
It's your side of the story. Give your prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying?
Gervonta "Tank" Davis has finally spoken out following reports of his recent arrest and the sudden cancellation of his fight with Jake Paul. According to new developments, Davis is now facing a civil lawsuit involving serious domestic violence allegations. His camp and coach have remained mostly silent, issuing only brief statements as the situation unfolds. Meanwhile, the highly anticipated November 14th event is now in doubt, with promoters pausing all fight activities while the investigation continues.
The lightweight. So, by all means, if they make a few quid and nobody gets hurt, then great. But I certainly wouldn't be paying a penny to watch it. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, farcical. Who wants to watch an exhibition? Gervonta Davis is in his prime years. Why is he wasting his time? Why is he having a rematch with the fella he got a draw with? Why is he not fighting? Why is he not going up a weight and fighting Lopez and Garcia's and them fighters? Why is he fighting Jake Paul in an exhibition? I get the money's great, but he's in the prime years. This is his best year. This is where he can become. Maybe you don't want to be an all-time great. Maybe you don't want to do all that stuff. Maybe you just want.
A civil lawsuit filed in Miami-Dade County accuses Gervonta Davis of multiple serious offenses, including battery, aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. If proven true, these allegations could have major consequences for both his legal standing and boxing career. At this stage, the case remains a civil matter. No new criminal charges connected to the complaint have been filed.
World champion Gervonta "Tank" Davis was arrested earlier this week for closed fist slapping his daughter's mother. What's a closed fist slap? Is it like this? Bro, you can't be closed fist slapping women. You can't be slapping women at all. But don't you know your hand is like Thor's hammer? Bro, you can go to jail for even flicking somebody, man. Don't you got a fight coming up? Or are you trying to ruin your career?
So far, Gervonta Davis hasn't made a full public statement addressing the lawsuit or the reported cancellation of his fight with Jake Paul. The only reaction has come through his camp. His coach briefly commented that Davis is doing great and that they're still trying to understand the situation, a cautious response clearly aimed at keeping Tank out of the media spotlight while his legal and promotional teams handle the matter. Jake Paul's most valuable promotions confirmed they've launched an internal investigation following the civil allegations. In a public statement, the company said it condemns all forms of violence and will decide on next steps once all facts are reviewed. Technically, the fight remains listed on the schedule, but insiders report that it's very likely off. According to journalist Dame Mara, the November 14th event is about 80% certain to be cancelled, though she noted it could end up postponed instead. The bout was originally planned for Atlanta's State Farm Arena before being finalized for Miami, a setting that perfectly captured the blend of spectacle and star power both fighters are known for.
In the making, when a fairly novice Jake Paul made a wish list of future opponents, and right in the middle of that list was Gervonta "Tank" Davis. Many laughed at the time, and some still can't believe we're here. But these two young men are the face of boxing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the two biggest boxers in America, and they're putting it all on the line. One has the speed, the skill, the accuracy, and the one-punch knockout power. The other has the size, the force, and the unbreakable confidence to make this must-see Netflix. The size difference.
The matchup between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul carried extra buzz because of its unusual setup. Davis, a lightweight champion typically competing between 135 and 140 pounds, was stepping far outside his usual division to face Paul, who fights closer to cruiserweight range. During the press conference, it was confirmed that the bout would have a 195-pound weight limit and use 12-ounce gloves, details that sparked plenty of debate among fans and analysts alike. Davis didn't hide his concerns about the rules and the massive size gap between them, questioning how fair or meaningful the contest could really be. Still, the fight's novelty and spectacle had many predicting a sold-out arena. For both fighters, it was shaping up to be one of the year's most talked about events, a mix of entertainment, controversy, and high stakes that boxing rarely sees.
Davis versus Jake Paul. I want Tank Davis to knock his block off. I'm sick of the Paul brothers, both of them. I can't stand either one of them. And I know I'll get pounded with emails. You're just jealous. No, I'm not jealous of them. I could care less how much money they make. I don't like their attitude. I don't like the way they conduct themselves. I don't like the way they think, you know.
Boxing fans online are growing increasingly skeptical of Gervonta Davis's recent choices. Many believe he's avoiding top-level challengers like Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, instead opting for a higher-paying fight against Jake Paul. Critics argue that Davis's motivation seems more financial than competitive, suggesting he's prioritizing big paydays over true sporting challenges. For a fighter with his talent and resume, fans say, this decision feels like a step away from the legacy path they expected him to follow.
Keyshawn Davis, no Teofimo Lopez, none of them dudes. You know what I'm talking about? We gotta think and look at Tank Davis's whole career. He done made some bread, but at the end of the day, all that bread that he made, when it's all said and done, he ain't gonna get no respect from his peers, because we gonna look down his resume and we gonna be like, he was trash, he was some trash, he was some trash, he was alright, but he was never like that. He was okay, he was some trash, he was some trash.
Originally, Gervonta Davis was expected to face Lamont Roach in a rematch after their first bout ended in a disputed majority draw. The plan was for Davis to settle the score and strengthen his legacy with a clear victory. But when the chance to fight Jake Paul came along, offering a far bigger payday and worldwide exposure, his team quickly shifted direction. Reports suggest Davis could make around $50 million from the Paul fight. While analyst Stephen A. Smith didn't directly criticize the decision, he pointed out how boxing's priorities have changed. Fights that once defined legacy are now often replaced by crossover events that promise massive pay-per-view sales. For Davis, this matchup isn't just about proving his talent, it's about reaching a global audience that goes well beyond the traditional boxing fan base.
He's in a division where he's got killers all in his division. You know, Shakur, Haney, who's 147. You know, you look at Teo, for example, Keyshawn, and then you choose to fight someone like Paul. Surely that's a concern when you do look at it like that.
Yeah, but again, it's the world we're in. If you can get a huge amount of money to fight someone who's never boxed, really, before, you're going to do it. You know, Floyd Mayweather boxed Logan Paul with a huge weight disparity.
He was done by then. He was done. This is an active world champion.
But it's the world we're in.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Now, when it comes down to it, it's just like Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. Two completely different sports. It was the biggest pay-per-view in recent times, wasn't it? Maybe if ever.
Those are like different comparisons, though, if you think about it. Do you not like?
Yeah, but the sport's in a wild place, isn't it? That's just, I'm just like the reality of where we are, you know. And I can't really say much when we're talking about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua at the same time.
Yeah,
you know.
Do you think Tank should get stripped of his title?
Yeah, I think anyone who, just in general, doesn't defend their title to do something else should get stripped, because it shouldn't hold the belts up. You know, in any, I think that should be the reality in anything. You know, if you're not going to defend your belts, or you're not defending, sometimes there's the rules. Obviously, if you fight for a belt at a higher weight, you can retain the belt until there. But if you're don't have intention of defending the belts, you shouldn't hold the belts up. People should get the opportunity to fight for them.
What happened with the failed negotiations between AJ and Jake Paul?
I think anything's still possible. That was always discussed for next year. You know, this fight's November, early part.
Former world champion Carl Froch didn't hold back in his criticism, calling the situation an absolute joke. He revealed that talks for a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight were almost finalized, reportedly 99% done, before Paul suddenly switched course to fight Gervonta Davis, a man nearly half his size. Froch said the move made no sense if Paul truly wanted to prove himself, arguing it showed Jake cares more about headlines than real competition. His comments reflect what many in boxing circles are saying, that Paul picks opponents who generate attention while keeping the actual danger to a minimum. Froch added that taking on Joshua would have been a real test, but choosing Davis instead turns the whole thing into more of a spectacle than a sporting contest.
Paul ain't gonna happen anyway. It ain't gonna happen. We can all believe it.
Jake Paul.
Eddie Hearn said it's 99% done.
Because you know what? Jake Paul's done a great job in hustling Eddie.
Yeah.
He's gonna get so either Eddie's in on it or he's like this young man hustling.
Yeah.
And so the kids kidded the kidders.
Well, listen, we've had a chat, we've caught up. We'll have another chat as well in
I'm gonna do some sunbathing, man.
days, bit of sunbathing. Top up the town.
Yes, I do.
Might as well.
Blake is the number.
Let us know in the comments below who you think wins the fight and what Anthony Joshua should be doing next. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Let us know in the comments below. This has been another episode of Froch on Fighting. Got the main man here, Johnny Nelson, aka
Blickman.
We'll see. He said it, not me. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like